So, hi, I'm Trindade. I'm a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I've been asked to walk you through an update on what's going on here at Choate Park and later on as well down at Oakland. So, I'm really excited about the opportunity because I really believe that this is going to be, when it's all finished, one of the coolest things we've ever done in town. So to start off, I'm standing by Fair House, and this is Oak Street. Oak Street for years dead-ended at 109 and the entrance into Choate. But as part of the Choate Park rebuild and part of the 109 project, we're now going to be reopening Oak Street to traffic out at 109, and it's right up here. I can show you. I want to point out a couple of things to you. So you can hear perhaps in the background the sound of Chicken Brook. Over here on the right, and it's really kind of hidden now, but there's a walkway that takes you out to the brand new sidewalk on 109. This was done by an Eagle Scout. It's a little pocket park in and of itself. There's a bench that was donated by O'Brien & Sons, the same company that we're working with on the playground equipment. And again, it's just a nice little spot, another place that you can go to be private while you're here at Choate. And as we walk further, everything that you see here in this roadway is going to be upgraded and rebuilt. And up here on the right, and again, it's kind of cool that you see this now with all the construction so that you can appreciate all the work that went into the final project, the final product when it's all completed. But up ahead here, you can see the entrance over to 109, and you can see overhead the lights that are up there. That's going to be the crosswalk lights to assist people getting from here over to the mill and vice versa. And down here, there's one feature I wanted to point out, because I really think it's going to be a really distinctive, feature, that when you're telling people, hey, meet me down at Choate Park, and you're giving them directions, what you're going to end up doing is telling them, all right, when you see the clock, take a left. So there's a clock that's being donated by the Carrot family, and Jimmy Smith, who, for years worked for our DPW. They're donating a clock that is being handmade by a company in Medfield. And that clock, where you see the pole, that's where the clock is going to be. And it's this 48-inch in diameter, old-fashioned clock face. You've seen them in other communities. So now that's going to be right here. And it's just, again, so distinctive. That's what you see as you're coming down the hill from both directions. And you're going to come in here, and what used to be in front of you was just a grassy area, and then behind that were the tennis courts and then off to the playground. And your entrance is actually down in that corner, and you can still see the old concrete and stone pillars that have been there forever. That was the traditional entrance to Choate Park. Here's what we've done. You're going to come in here. Oak Street will continue off to your left. You'll take a turn in here, and you can see where they've flattened out the ground over here. This is where the new entrance into the parking lot is going to be constructed. And all of this area here is all going to be landscaped. So it's just going to be a beautiful entrance here. You'll come up, and where the tennis courts used to be, we've extended the parking, and part of that is because some of the parking that used to exist is now playground. And wait till you see that, because it's going to be really exciting. So we're going to have some additional parking available to us here. You'll have a new entrance that'll come in, and there'll be a sidewalk that'll take you along that existing wall. And again, all of the rest of this is landscape. And then over here, one of the things that we used to have was the old message board. You had the old-fashioned letters that you had to go manually put up. And it existed and it was useful, but what we have purchased is an electronic message board. So it'll be bigger, it'll be easier to read, you'll be able to see it at night. And that is going to go right over here. And they've got the utilities right here. So you can see these stubs coming up. Those are the utilities for the new message board that's going to be located here, and it'll be at a height so that again I can see it easily from 109. And also beside this, we're going to have a flagpole, so it'll always have a flag that'll be lit, it'll always be right here. And one of the things that we've got pictures of is what went in underneath all of this. So one of the things that is difficult with any kind of construction like this is I need to be able to manage my stormwater. And because we're located so close to Chicken Brook, which is a very sensitive environmental area, we needed to make sure that all that rainwater stays on the property. So over here are tubes that are put in to now be able to manage all of the stormwater. So these tubes are gigantic. They're about 4 feet in diameter, and they're perforated on the bottom so that as it rains, it holds all the water, but then allows it to drain naturally into the ground. So now we're standing on one half of the parking lot. So again, this is where tennis court used to be. We've now added additional parking because we have so many events down here, like the pumpkin walk, like family day, like the Christmas parade. So we really needed that additional parking. But also what you'll be able to see is a lot of the parking that used to exist is now playground, which is really cool. So what you'll have is you'll have plantings in the middle here. We've got lights. We've also kind of planned around the idea that, you know, most of the time, a lot of this parking lot's not going to be full. So what we now wanted to be able to do was have it be available that maybe kids come in, roller skate or rollerblade, or they play street hockey and that kind of stuff. That's kind of what we have envisioned for part of this as well. Now over here, this is why we did this. And this is the new playground. So for those of you that remember the old one, it was great. The Friends of Choate Park worked for years to make that park as good as it possibly could be, but it was just small. And part of it also was that in different times, there were different standards for safety for kids. So now what we've got is a playground that not only is it dramatically bigger, but meets all of the latest safety requirements and accessibility requirements. As you can see, is just dramatically bigger than what it used to be, but it's also segregated into two different sections. So this first section here is for smaller children, 2 to 5, that kind of thing. So now you've got playground equipment that is more geared to their height and weight and all that kind of stuff. And every place where I'm standing is all going to be this rubberized surface. So no more wood chips. So this will give a better and safer playground surface for all of our kids. But also, very importantly, if you have a parent who's handicapped, so you got somebody that's in a wheelchair or somebody that is walking with a walker or a cane, wood chips, it's almost impossible for them to get around on. With this new surface, because it's so flat, they can now easily be right here with their kids as they're playing. The other one that we did was we've added new swings. And the swings are also segregated and put off to one side. And what we're going to have are bollards so that you don't have children just running in front of other children playing on the swings and getting hurt. So now we'll have more swings, but they're also going to be dramatically safer. Here's the other section of the park. So we've got little kids here, and again you can see this cute little playhouse right here. This is going to be the coolest thing. I can't wait to bring my grandkids to it. And then as we walk over here, this is one of the big features of this whole project is a splash pad. So basically, it's a modern version of your lawn sprinkler, but it's now a place where on hot days, the kids are playing over here, they can now come here, and it's not set up to run constantly. So there's a control button that you hit the button and it'll go for a time period of time, and then you'll have spray going everywhere for the kids to run through. It'll be really, really cool. And then you can see up here where that bobcat is going, that's the entrance up into the Cassidy Field area. And if you walked up there on the right, we now own the Jacob Ide House, which is all now tied into this entire area. So, and again, for anybody that came here with their kids, all of this area that's now playground used to be parking lot. And over here, on what used to be the playground, is now the play structures for older children, you know, 6, 7, 8 and above, and it's really cool. So now I can have a bunch of kids climb all over this thing. We've got, you know, a great slide for them to now come flying down. And you know how kids are, right? They want to be able to run, they want something new, challenging, right? So we've got enough play equipment to now not only account for a large number of kids, but, you know, give something kind of different for them to go play with every time. So that'll continue. And then over here, this is what I think one of the coolest things. And again, thanks to O'Brien and Sons who helped us design all of this. You've got this play structure that, again, kids can climb on, they can climb inside of, and it rotates. So again, for anybody that knew the old playground, you had play area in here, and you had a fenced-in area along the pond. This has now all been rebuilt. Everything from here towards the pond is going to get replanted, and it's all going to be plants that are native to the area, so this is all going to be allowed to grow out. This walkway will now go up, and you'll eventually be able to now walk all the way up to Cassidy Field, and that whole walkway will be ADA accessible as well as lit, so that if we have an event here, like again the pumpkin walk or the Christmas parade, you'll now have a nice safe area to walk to the parking up on the top of the hill. And you can see we got right here, these concrete pads, you'll see them throughout the chute. These are all going to be benches. So now think of it, I can now sit and just take in, you know, that beautiful view of Choate Pond. Like when the leaves turn and that kind of stuff, it's going to be a gorgeous spot. One of the other things that we really needed, for example with Family Day, it's in July, it can get really hot. We needed a place where when people come down for all the events, a place that they could sit in the shade and have lunch with their family. So that's what we've constructed over here. And when I saw the initial mock-ups by CBA Landscape Architects, they're the folks that did this whole design and working with the EPFRAC committee all those years, well, it was actually about a year and a half time frame. But one of the ideas they came up with was this. So we have this pavilion, and it is very similar to the one that's up at the high school between the turf fields. But now I can get a dozen or more picnic tables in here so that, again, whether it's for a Family Day celebration or if I'm just coming down with my children and I'm going to have a day playing, after they've been playing for a while, I can now bring them in here, take them out of the sun, have a picnic lunch, and then do whatever I want to do. And as I'm here, again, I get that spectacular view. So we'll have stairs leading down to this area. And if you notice, and again, if you remember what it used to look like, there used to be a beach area. Well, unfortunately, Choate is not swimmable. So what we decided to do was remove the beach, and again, we're going to now have plantings, again, natural plantings that are native to this area, that will all be along this area and maintained so that, again, I don't obscure the view. As we walk towards this is the existing building that's been here at Choate for a number of years. So this is still where we'll have bathrooms, and we're making sure to put in technology that allows us to have those bathrooms open up automatically and locked automatically so that we can always have them open when people are actually going to be here, but then secure them at night. You can see these things right here. These are all going to be light poles, so wherever you see one of those in the video, that's where we're having lighting. So it's again designed so that it's not super bright, but that when we do have an event, that people can see clearly to get safely as they're walking through with their little ones. And here, these are bricks that the Friends of Choate Park, you know, sold to help raise money to support the park and the playground that used to be here. So we're now keeping all of those because, again, these people, you know, help contribute to it. So we want to make sure that those are now memorialized as part of the whole finished project. You know, I keep saying it, and I say it to everybody about this. This is going to be one of the coolest things that we've ever done in town. So here we are down at Oakland Park. So you saw all the cool stuff we were doing up at Choate. And in a lot of communities, people would just be ecstatic just to have that. But boy, here in Medway, we've taken it to another level, and we've completely rebuilt Oakland Park as well. So if you look down here, and you can see through the trees, there's this big mound of dirt. That's where the playground used to be. And again, it was great. Kids had fun on it, but it was small and it was aged. So now what you've got is a completely brand new park. And just like up at Choate, it meets all the latest safety requirements, all of the latest ADA requirements and so forth. So what this used to be, right, for people that remember it, this was all parking. So now it's now all of the playground, and what used to be the playground is now going to be reverted to grass play area. On the other side of the playground, we still have the basketball courts. Those are all still there. The different benches for the Connolly family and so forth, those are all still there. But what we've also added, and was something that in all the years that I coached soccer and came up here with my kids, that was always an issue, we've added bathrooms. So all they had for years was just porta potties, which, as we all know, is less than ideal. So now I can come up here with my kids, I can have nice clean bathrooms for them to go to. And up here, just like up at Choate, we've got a pavilion, and in this case, it's a different style. But again, it's a place where you can go with your kids and picnic, get out from the sun for a little while. And for those people where kids are in the soccer program, this is still going to be one of the main playing areas for Medway Youth Soccer. So now, as my kids are out on the field, I can sit in the pavilion or on one of the benches around the area, watch my kids. Maybe the older ones are out there playing soccer, while the younger ones are here playing on the play area here. And over here, and this was always one of the issues that was a problem with Oakland Park, was parking. So you can see this driveway here where the dumpster is and so forth. That's what existed before. But as you look over this area, everything that's been cleared out, that was all trees before, and now we've added that parking. And we've also added a turnaround area so that now when it's soccer season and people are now coming in and dropping their kids off for one game and then going home from the other one, I've now got a safety area so that I can now safely drop off, and it also makes traffic flow a lot easier. So you can see we're putting in all of the lighting so that if you're here for a meeting at the senior center or for seniors that are coming during the winter and so forth, I've got plenty of lighting to make it safe to access. And then here, down this area right here, between the lights to the side, this is part of the drainage system for this parking lot. So this is going to be a rain garden. So you'll have, wildflowers and that kind of stuff that'll be here. So it's not only going to be visually beautiful, but it's also helping to hold all of the rainwater here onto the property. And right in the middle, I'm going to have a bridge. So visually, this is going to be very cool. So that as I'm coming from the parking, I'll go over the bridge, over the rain garden, into the other parking lot, and then I'll be able to go right over straight through over to the senior center. So this not only benefits Oakland Park and all the people that use it, but for the seniors, it's additional parking for them that's in close proximity to the existing building. All of this will still be referred to as Oakland Park, but one of the things that we're going to do that I think is really cool is we are naming the playground after a former selectman, Paul DeSimone. So Paul moved here with his family in the 60s, was a selectman for a long time. A lot of the cool stuff that we do today, he was a part of. He was also, he served on the Board of Directors for the Charles River Pollution Control District, which runs all of our sewer system. So he was part of the group that helped bring that in back in the 70s. He was also the founder of Camp Sunshine. So for those of you who may not be aware, Medway runs a unique rec program. It's referred to as Camp Sunshine, but it's not actually a summer camp. It is a rec program for handicapped children that has existed for over 50 years. And this has been its home outside of the senior center for the last dozen or so years. So now it was less than an ideal situation where they were. So now having this park, they'll now be able to now use this during the summer when they run their program. Again, they'll have the bathrooms to support it. And we are naming the park the Paul D. Simone Camp Sunshine Playground. And it's a great story, really looking forward to the day that we dedicate it in his honor. So now to kind of sum up, right? So we've given you a vision of what Choate is going to look like. And again, I know that with all the construction and the same thing down here, it's hard to imagine, but I think what's important is that you get to see this so that when you see the finished product, you really understand everything that had to happen to get that in place. And all of this would not have happened if not for the efforts of a committee called EPFRAC, which is it's a funny name, but what it stands for is the Evaluation of Parks, Recreational Areas, and Fields Advisory Committee. And it was a committee that the Board of Selectmen started 5 years ago, and its first effort were the playing fields that we now have up at the high school, which have been an enormous success. We then went back to that same committee to now help plan all of the work that you've seen here today. So that committee has 13 members, so it's representatives from the Board of Selectmen, from the Finance Committee, from the Capital Improvements Committee, Conservation, the Community Preservation Committee, the Friends of Choate Park, youth sports groups, the schools, all of those different groups that you really needed to have part of this because they're all groups that in one way or another would either be using the facilities or needed to weigh in on them in order to get it passed by town meeting. And it was that group, chaired by Rick DiNicenzo, who's one of my fellow selectmen, that worked on this for almost 2 years. So it's really a thanks to them and all of their efforts that this has actually come to fruition. And hopefully all of this, both Choate and Oakland, will be done this fall, hopefully by the end of October. And really I'm looking forward to seeing, the coolest thing will be seeing all of the kids that live here in town out here playing on these playgrounds will just be the culmination of the whole effort. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please get a hold of Sandy Johnson. She's our communications director, and we can provide any other information that you're looking for.